So there may have been a murderer living in my New York City apartment. So this is my story time. Okay, I literally have a whole list of notes in front of me to make sure that I don't forget details. So me and my roommates, like a year and a half ago, were sitting on our couch and all of a sudden hear like literally a bloody murder scream, like sounded like someone was being murdered. So immediately we're like, oh my God, let's call the police because something's happening. So we call 911 and they come, and because we don't know exactly what apartment unit number the sound is coming from, they say that they can't do anything. And I was like, you can't go door to door. And they were like, no, sorry, there's really nothing we can do. If it happens again, try to figure out what apartment number it's coming from. So I was like, okay, so that's not helpful at all. So throughout the week, like we start hearing screaming all of the time, and we call the police multiple times. I know that other people in the building are calling the police because they'll show up at our building when we weren't the ones who called. I'm going to insert a clip of what it sounded like, the screams, right here. So in that first semester that it started happening, we called the police at least, I would say, 10 times. And then so obviously like I started calling the super and emailing like higher up people who own our building, and they were like, unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do. You can't just like evict people in New York City. You need a case. So like send us videos with timestamps of what's going on. So I start taking videos all the time, which it starts to be like literally every single day. It would just be like, oh, he's screaming again, or oh, someone's screaming bloody murder again. So I just started collecting a bunch of videos. So I had like a whole album of stuff that I would send to them so that they could send it to their lawyers to create a case. So I go to NYU, so I'm in a New York City, just regular apartment, but there are other NYU girls, or were other NYU girls in my building who happened to share one of the walls with the man who was screaming. And they said that in like the middle of the night, like he'll be pounding on things, it'll sound like he's hammering things, he'll be screaming, he'll be yelling, he'll be kicking things, punching things, throwing things, breaking things. Like they've called the police multiple times. So other people in our building are obviously noticing it. People start talking, like when we're in the halls, like trying to figure out what's going on and what we can do. So one day in particular, it gets really bad, and I actually don't know, like I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember it being really bad to the point where we were like, okay, it had been going on for so long where we like weren't calling the police because we had called the police so many times and there was nothing they could do, that we were like, okay, we're calling the police right now because this is really bad. And they were like, okay, we've gotten other reports, we're sending people. So they send like EMTs, fire department, and police, because we were like, let's do you should do a wellness check, so knock down the door. So for reference, our apartment building is like, the walls are like paper thin. So like if I'm sitting on my couch, I can hear the front door downstairs open, and I can also hear people walking in and out of their units, specifically like if they're on our floor. And the guy was, of course, on our floor. So I heard him come home, get into his apartment, and he did not leave because there's only one door to leave your apartment. So I knew he was in his apartment and he was screaming bloody murder. So multiple people in the building call. So then now into the story, the police come. So they start knocking on his door and he's not answering. And they're like, guys, like he's not home. There's like nothing we can really do. And I was and they're like, okay, we're going to knock down the door. So they get the fire department to come and knock down the door. When they do, the first thing that the firefighter says is, oh my God, it looks like a sex dungeon in here. So that's never a good sign. So they walk around his entire apartment and he is nowhere to be found because he escaped through his fire escape, through the courtyard, and out through the front door of our building. So the second that they open the door, we're all kind of like standing with our heads peeking out of our window, obviously, or out of our door, like obviously want to know what's going on. And the entire building starts to smell like bleach, like reeking of bleach, like so bad. And at this point, because so many people had called the police, like multiple people were coming down to our floor and just like looking at what was going on, because there was also so many like emergency responders in our building. So they said that we didn't obviously look inside of his apartment, but they said that his whole apartment was covered in blue tarps and cleaning supplies. And I believe that I have a photo from downstairs seeing that his window was covered in blue tarps. So if I have it, I will insert it here. So his whole apartment was covered in blue tarps and cleaning supplies. There's blue tarps hanging from the ceiling, blue tarps covering all of the surfaces, bleach, whatever. So we're obviously freaking out because we're also like, where did he go? Like he was obviously here. So obviously at this point, like everyone in the building's really concerned. And so the girls who share the wall with him, like I invited them into our apartment and we were just like talking, and like other people in the building like started talking with us. And the people who live directly above him were like, we've been calling the police obviously for like the screaming sounds, but also because our whole apartment has been smelling like bleach. So we were just really concerned, and like they had been calling the super or whatever because the bleach scent was like going through the vents. So eventually the police are like, sorry guys, he's not here. We have to leave. There's nothing we can do once again. So they leave and we're all still like talking in the lobby. And as we're talking in the lobby, the guy whose apartment it is like comes sprinting up the stairs, runs into his apartment and locks the door. So we're all like, oh my gosh. So we call 911 again. I called them and was like, hi, just want you to know that you guys just left. But the guy returned back to his apartment, re-explained the whole situation. Takes them 45 minutes, but they eventually come back and they take him away into the ambulance, whatever. I don't really know what happened. All I do know is that the girls texted me later that night saying that he returned. Thankfully, this was around my summer break from school, so I went home, and eventually by the time that I came back to school, he was completely moved out and there's new people moved in, so I'm not really sure what happened. So we asked the building for compensation and they tried raising our rent, and we were like, how about you decrease our rent because we literally had a murderer in our building? And they were like, okay, well, we can't do that, but we're going to give you guys $200 gift cards to any place you want. And I was like, okay, that's like not helpful at all, but like, sure, obviously we'll accept. So I go, oh, I'll get a DoorDash gift card. And they were like, actually, we only like supporting small businesses, which like, okay, totally get and understand. And I also love supporting small businesses, but we literally had a man murdering people in our building. We don't know that for sure. We're not exactly 100% sure what happened. But I feel like the least you could do is give me, like, if let me choose where this gift card's money is going. And like, oh my God. And so this is so unimportant to the story, but like, yeah, so we don't actually know what happened. And I actually had multiple people in my building text me being like, hey, did you ever get any update? And I was like, I actually have no idea. Those girls moved out. A lot of people in my building did move out because like the situation did go on for like over a year. And it was definitely getting really crazy and really scary. So I really hope that everything was okay. And I really don't know what happened. I think I am going to reach out to the building and just like see if there's any update. I don't know what they're allowed to tell us or what they're not. But it was definitely really scary. And I hope that that guy got the help that he needed. I hope that everyone is safe. Really crazy part of my college experience was coming home to literally screams of bloody murder and agony. Any time of the day. Literally any time of the day. So that was a long way to story time. Wow, this is really long, so hopefully I can edit it down. But thanks so much for watching.